What's going on, everybody? The Fantasy Birds are back with another buy low, sell high video in fantasy basketball. We've gone through 4 weeks in the regular season, and we're almost done week 5. So let's get into some more guys that we like trading for at this point in the season, and a couple of guys that we want to be getting off of our rosters. Last week, we talked about buying guys like Jamal Murray and Josh Giddey, who started off the season very slow, especially Jamal Murray with that injury, not getting the minutes that we expected from him in that Denver rotation. But in the last week and a half, we've seen his numbers increase, getting around 19 to 20 points per game before he was unfortunately added to the health and safety protocol. But Murray's stock definitely looking up since we posted that video. Also with Giddey looking like his rookie self, 17, 7, and 7 over the past couple of games for Josh Giddey. Still got some turnover issues for Giddey in Oklahoma City, but still we like to see those counting statistics from him in the rebounds and assists category, as well as his scoring looking like it's on the rise. So we love seeing those guys doing much better the last couple of weeks for their respective teams. The guys that we were looking at selling last week were Jrue Holiday, Tobias Harris, and Julius Randle. Holiday unfortunately goes down with that ankle injury, so we can't really run victory laps around that. Hopefully he's coming back healthy. And Tobias Harris, his numbers have fallen off just a bit as of late, along with Julius Randle. But let's talk about 5 new guys that we want to be targeting to getting off and on our rosters this upcoming week in fantasy basketball. Let's not waste your time. Let's get right into our top 5 buy low, sell high fantasy basketball players. Week 6. The first guy we want to be selling this week is going to be Brook Lopez, the big man for the Milwaukee Bucks. Like I talked about last week, Jrue Holiday was a guy we were looking to sell with guys like Chris Middleton coming back into the fold. This Bucks team basically took a week off for their star guys. Giannis and Jrue all sitting games this past week due to some injuries. Jrue Holiday dealing with an ankle injury that we think he should be back. But with Jrue, Giannis, and Middleton all being out for games this past week and a half, Brook Lopez has really taken advantage of that. In the last 7 games, Brook Lopez is actually averaging 19 points a game. You think this is Brook Lopez back when he was in Brooklyn, being that star low post force for the Nets many years ago. But this is Milwaukee. Brook Lopez, we know he's more of a role player, stretch the defense out, create some space for guys like Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton, and more importantly, Giannis down low in the paint. So I'm not expecting 19 points a game to continue from Brook Lopez with these guys coming back healthy. Jrue Holiday and Giannis already back. Middleton, with that wrist injury, looks to be back very, very soon. And over the first 8 games of the regular season, Brook Lopez was right around 14 points a game. This 19, 20-point outings that he's had over the last couple of games really just due to the injuries that has taken place and forced him into a much larger role in this Milwaukee offense. So Lopez definitely a guy I want to be moving off my team before these guys start getting their minutes back, getting ratcheted up, and this team is at full strength, because Lopez definitely not going to be the scoring force that he is right now when this team's at full strength. Kind of similar to Lopez is going to be Bol Bol, the second player that we want to be selling at this point in the regular season. It's hard for me to put Bol on this list because he's one of my favorite players. I mean, it's hard not to root for Bol Bol. 7'2", long wingspan, big guy, can shoot the ball, dribble, does a lot of things well on the basketball court. But we have to look why his production has been ramping up, and it's going to be due to those injuries like we talked about, similar to Lopez. Front runner for Rookie of the Year, Paolo Banchero, goes down with that ankle injury. He looks like he's going to be missing another week at minimum. So Bol should still keep this starting role for another week or so until Banchero is able to come back and play at full strength. In addition to Banchero missing time, Wendell Carter had to miss a game here, and Markelle Fultz. Yes, they don't play the same position, but it's still a rotation piece that's going to be involved down in Orlando. It's taking minutes. Mo Bamba's still a factor on the bench. We kind of know what Mo Bamba is. Disappointing start to his career. We thought he was going to be a much bigger presence in the front court for this Magic team. Hasn't been that way yet, but still, Bol Bol has been nothing short of impressive over the last 4 games with guys like Banchero, Carter, and Markelle Fultz missing time for this Magic team. 17 points and 11 rebounds for Bol Bol. Still getting good block numbers. He's 7'2" with long wingspan. Of course, he's going to be putting up some good block numbers. But 17 points and 11 rebounds. Very solid production for a guy getting around 30 minutes in this starting lineup with those guys like we talked about missing time. Before this Banchero injury, Bol Bol was only averaging 10 points and 6 rebounds. Still putting up some pretty solid block numbers. But the 10 and 6 numbers aren't going to get you excited to put him in your fantasy lineups, which we expect to happen once Banchero is coming back from this ankle injury. Should be another couple of weeks, so you can still squeeze out some production out of Bol Bol if not able to trade him. But if you are able to add him to a deal, would not mind him, considering the long-term upside that he's going to have later in the season when this team is at full strength. Like we talked about with Milwaukee, this Magic team's not going to have that many minutes available for Bol Bol at power forward with Banchero, Wendell, backup center Mo Bamba, and the plentiful amount of guards that this team has. I mean, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz. This team's very deep very young, talented team. So if you're able to package Bol Bol and squeak out some long-term upside, would not mind doing that at this point in the regular season. Those are our two favorite sell-high targets coming into week 6 in fantasy basketball. Let's talk about some 3 buy low guys that we like trading for right now. First guy that I love trading for is going to be Paul George, the wing for the Los Angeles Clippers. Clippers off to a kind of slow start this season with Kawhi Leonard missing some time, but we've seen George with Leonard out. He's been a very, very prosperous fantasy basketball player, and even with Leonard on the floor, he's still remarkable what he can do. So the last 4 games for George have been pretty underwhelming. He's shooting 34% from the field. That's an absolutely atrocious number for George, a guy used to averaging upwards of 23, 24 points a game. He's only been able to put in 19 points a game over this stretch with the poor field goal percentage. And even over the last 5 games, he's shooting 31% from the three-point land. Not something we expect from a sharpshooter like Paul George, who in category leagues really makes his money with how he's able to put up defensive statistics for George. But the field goal percentages have really been limiting in the last 4 games for him, like we talked about, under 35%. We don't expect this to continue for George. We know the caliber player he is, that all-star on a year-in, year-out basis. So with that being said, we're not going to overthink it. We're going to try to trade for Paul George, given the fact that we know what kind of player he can be when he's playing the game that we know he can. So let's go trade for Paul George, and let's not think twice about it. Kawhi Leonard starting to come back into the fold doesn't scare me at all with George. We still know that he's going to be a very solid player with or without Kawhi Leonard. So no concerns there. The next guy I like trading for is actually going to be 2 guys, Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr., 2 Houston Rockets shooting guards that at this point I think we can get some value on them in some trades. Jalen Green only averaging 16 points a game in his last 2 contests. Very underwhelming for a guy drafted as highly as he was a couple years back. This is a guy who can get up to 23, 24 points a game over the course of a season stretch. So with numbers around 15 to 16 points, definitely something we can't expect going forward. Something to keep in mind with Jalen Green, the rebounds and assists aren't as good as we can see from a guy like Kevin Porter Jr., but still the scoring is going to be off the charts. I put Jalen Green on this list as opposed to Kevin Porter because Porter is dealing with a new injury that's kept him sidelined for a couple games, so we want to keep that in mind, but still would love trading for Kevin Porter. Thing about these two, the scoring is going to be off the charts, but the field goal percentage is going to be very abysmal in category leagues and points leagues that account for missed field goals. In leagues not accounting for field goal percentage and missed shots, these are 2 guys I love firing up and trading for very, very aggressively. This Houston Rockets team, very poor defensively, likes to get up and down the floor like we talked about coming into the year, and we've seen it racing up and down the floor with these young guys, getting shots up left and right. And Jalen Green and Kevin Porter, a little underwhelming the past couple of games. We don't expect that to continue. We expect this scoring drought to end very soon for these 2 Rockets guards. So if you can get Green and Kevin Porter with that injury at a discount right now, love firing those guys up as long as you're not playing for a field goal percentage in category leagues because they will completely destroy anything you're trying to do in that category. But in general, love firing these 2 guys up in any trades at this point. The last guy on this list actually might just be a waiver wire pickup as he's available in 50% of leagues. So if he's available in your league, definitely go out and snag Jalen Duren, the big man for the Detroit Pistons. But if not available, would not mind trading for him as his counting stats have been pretty atrocious through the first 15, 16 games of the season. Very talented big out of Memphis, one and done as most of these guys are nowadays. Super athletic, long, can rebound, block shots, do a lot around the rim, high flyer, who looks to be the long-term answer for this Pistons team in the front court. They go out and they make that trade on draft day to acquire Duren. And we saw some pretty impressive stuff out of the University of Memphis on the 1 year that he played there. The more important thing for Duren is, will he be able to get the minutes going forward? In the beginning of the season, only averaging around 17 to 18 minutes per game. But with this Isaiah Stewart injury, he should look to get around the 20 to 25 minutes per game going forward. If he's able to do that, the last 2 games that he's been given this minutes, around 23 minutes a game, he's put up 10 points and 8.5 rebounds. So that's pretty solid production for a guy you can get off the waiver wire right now. Definitely a raw prospect coming into the NBA, but the field goal percentage is going to be great. And as long as he's getting that minutes that Isaiah Stewart was getting, I love trading or even picking up Jalen Duren. Stewart's going to be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks, so we got to keep an eye on when he's actually coming back, because if he's coming back healthy and given the starter role like he's had over the first portion of the season, Duren's value is going to obviously decrease, but I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on him, seeing a very young, talented center, see what he can do in the minutes playing alongside Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey for this Pistons team. Very, very exciting things going on in Detroit with these young players. Very excited to see how Duren can manage with these 2 young point guards and see how his numbers can develop given a much bigger role in this offense. But yeah, that's going to be our 5 guys that we love trading for and away at this point in fantasy basketball. Let me know what you guys think of these guys. Let me know if these other guys that you want to be trading for or trading away at this current moment. Let me know what y'all think. I love hearing y'all guys' feedbacks, and I'm down to answer any questions you have in the comments section. I usually get back to it pretty quickly, so feel free to ask anything you want. That's going to do it here for the Fantasy Birds. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week with another episode of the Fantasy Birds.